Before we proceed on our study of the anatomy of the heart, I want to cover a couple of definitions and explain the color coding of the heart and blood vessels. Arteries are blood vessels that take blood away from the heart. Veins are blood vessels that return blood to the heart. You may have been told that arteries are always color-coded red and veins are always color-coded blue, but that is not accurate. This blood vessel is the aorta. It is an artery. This blood vessel is the pulmonary trunk or pulmonary artery. They are both arteries because they take blood away from the heart. So what's the significance of the color coding? Oxygenated blood is blood that is high in oxygen and low in carbon dioxide. Typically, structures that carry oxygenated blood are color-coded red. Deoxygenated blood is blood that is low in oxygen and high in carbon dioxide. And by convention, structures that carry deoxygenated blood are typically color-coded blue. Going back to our great vessels here, both are arteries. However, the aorta is color-coded red because it's carrying oxygenated blood, and the pulmonary trunk or pulmonary artery, again, is an artery, but is color-coded blue because it is carrying deoxygenated blood. We are now looking at a frontal section of the heart. Notice that the heart contains 4 chambers. The upper chambers are referred to as the atria, and the heart has a right and left atrium respectively. The lower chambers of the heart are called the ventricles, and the heart has a right and left ventricle respectively. The atria are not actually pumps. They're receiving chambers. They receive blood from veins, bringing blood back from the heart. They then deliver that blood to the ventricles, and the ventricles are really the discharging chambers. They overwhelmingly account for most of the volume of the heart. So the atria are receiving chambers, the ventricles are the actual pumps or discharging chambers. In order for the heart to work efficiently, it's important that blood flows in one direction and one direction only. To prevent the backflow of blood, there are several valves within the heart. Located between the atria and ventricles, we have the right and left atrioventricular or AV valves, but we don't usually refer to them as the atrioventricular valves. We refer to the left AV valve as the bicuspid or mitral valve. We refer to the right AV valve as the tricuspid valve. As the ventricles contract, they contract with sufficient force that it could send those valves flaring up into the atria, and that would allow some blood to pass back up into the atria. So there are these fibrous structures called chordae tendineae, literally heartstrings, that prevent that from happening. There are also valves located at the entrance to the great vessels that the ventricles supply. They're referred to as semilunar valves because they're shaped like little half moons. And they're named after the great vessels. We have the pulmonary semilunar valve at the entrance to the pulmonary trunk, and we have the aortic semilunar valve at the entrance of the aorta. Notice that these valves do not contain chordae tendineae. You already know that the heart is a pump, but did you know that the heart is actually 2 pumps? The right and the left ventricles actually act as separate pumps. let's talk about the right ventricle. And the right ventricle is shown here, color-coded blue. Remember that when we talk about right and left, it always refers to the patient's right and left. So the right ventricle pumps blood through the pulmonary circuit. It's going to pump blood to the lungs. Deoxygenated blood leaves the right ventricle through pulmonary arteries. That deoxygenated blood enters the pulmonary capillaries. There, carbon dioxide is unloaded, oxygen is loaded, and now oxygenated blood returns to the heart through the pulmonary veins, and it returns to the left atrium. That oxygenated blood, now in the left atrium, is squeezed into the left ventricle. The left ventricle then pumps that blood through the systemic circuit. Oxygenated blood leaves the left ventricle via the aorta. From there, it passes to the systemic capillaries. Those are the capillaries that are found all over the body, with the exception of the lungs. At the systemic capillaries, oxygen is loaded to the tissues, carbon dioxide is unloaded to the blood, and then deoxygenated blood returns to the right atrium, and now we're back where we started. Notice that the right ventricle is pumping deoxygenated blood, the left ventricle is pumping oxygenated blood. Obviously, we don't want the contents of these two ventricles to mix. Otherwise, we'll have oxygenated and deoxygenated blood mixing. So there is a thick layer of tissue between the two ventricles that separate them, known as the interventricular septum. Also, notice that the left ventricle and the right ventricle, because they're in series, are pumping the same amount of blood. But the left ventricle has to pump against a much greater resistance. The right ventricle just pumps blood to the lungs and it seeps back. Pumps blood to the lungs and it seeps back. The left ventricle has to pump blood to all other tissues of the body, all the way down to your pinky toe, all the way up to your scalp. So it has a much greater force that it has to generate. And therefore, the walls of the left ventricle are considerably thicker than the walls of the right ventricle. I truly believe that in order to understand how the heart functions, you have to be able to describe the flow of blood through the heart. So to me, it is logical to study the anatomy of the heart by using the anatomy to describe the flow of blood through the heart. To facilitate this approach, I have separated the terms on your study guide into the pulmonary circulation and the systemic circulation. Now let's look how we can put this approach into action. I will now demonstrate how you can learn the structures of the heart by simply describing the flow of blood through the heart. I'm going to start with the pulmonary circuit. Now, when I describe the flow of blood through the pulmonary circuit, I like to start with the right atrium. You could technically start wherever you like. I prefer the right atrium, so that's where I'm going to start. The right atrium contains deoxygenated blood. It contracts and squeezes that deoxygenated blood through the tricuspid valve into the right ventricle. The right ventricle then contracts and pumps blood through the pulmonary semilunar valve into the pulmonary trunk or artery. The pulmonary trunk then splits into a right and left pulmonary artery. Those arteries then carry the deoxygenated blood to the lungs. In the lungs, carbon dioxide is unloaded from the blood and oxygen is loaded into the blood. the left and right pulmonary veins, then carry that now oxygenated blood to the left atrium. Notice that simply by describing the flow of blood through the pulmonary circuit, I was able to identify all of the structures of the pulmonary circulation that you're responsible for. Now let's learn the remaining structures of the heart by describing the flow of blood through the systemic circulation. So we received oxygenated blood from the pulmonary veins into the left atrium. The left atrium then contracts and squeezes blood through the mitral valve into the left ventricle. The left ventricle contracts and pumps blood through the aortic semilunar valve into first the ascending aorta into the aortic arch. And then there are various arteries that branch and send blood, oxygenated blood, to various systemic tissues. In the systemic capillaries, oxygen is unloaded from the blood to the tissues, and carbon dioxide is unloaded from the tissues and loaded into the systemic capillaries. Deoxygenated blood then is returned to the heart from all areas superior to the heart through the superior vena cava, and from all areas inferior to the heart through the inferior vena cava. That deoxygenated blood then enters the right atrium. And now we're back where we started, and we have covered all of the structures listed on your study guide under the systemic circulation, save these 3 arteries. But never fear, when Chuck is near, those 3 arteries branch off the aortic arch, and they are proceeding from right to left: the brachiocephalic trunk, the left common carotid artery, and the left subclavian artery. And an easy way to remember that is, remember, proceeding from right to left, BCS. So named after the old BCS college football bowls we used to have.